All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we're going deep, like really deep into some pretty wild concepts.
Yeah.
We're talking about the universe, evolution, and maybe even alien minds.
Oh, wow.
You know, the whole shebang.
Sounds like fun.
It is gonna be fun. I'm excited.
So what are our sources pointing to today?
Well, it seems like there's this pretty crazy connection there suggesting between, like, the basic laws of physics
Right.
and the fact that life exists.
Okay.
Not just, life here on Earth,
Yeah.
but life anywhere out there in the universe.
So life is a universal phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
So I want to start with this size-time diagram thing.
Okay.
It sounds kind of like sci-fi, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So how does this diagram help us understand the universe and, like, the possibility of aliens?
Well, it's a way to visualize all the different sizes and timescales that exist.
Okay.
So imagine a square, and one side of the square represents size.
Right.
Everything from the smallest particle, like smaller than an atom, to the largest structure in the universe.
Okay.
And then the other side of the square represents time,
Time, okay.
from the Big Bang to the infinite future.
Yeah, okay, I'm starting to see it.
Good.
Why is this diagram so important, though?
It's important because it's grounded in Einstein's famous equation EMC,
Oh, yeah, that one.
which shows the relationship between energy, mass, space, and time.
Right.
And what this suggests is that sizes don't exist on their own.
Wait.
They exist because of each other.
Okay.
The existence of one size justifies the existence of another. And this goes from the very small to the very, very large.
It's kind of like a cosmic balancing act, then.
Exactly.
So, like, if there's something huge, there's got to be something tiny to balance it out.
That's a good way to think about it.
It's like a beautiful interconnectedness.
Yeah.
Like, think about a planet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it exists because of the stars and the galaxies and all the way down to, the atoms and the rocks.
Yeah, and even smaller than that.
Right. And then those atoms exist because of the even tinier particles.
Exactly. It's a chain reaction of existence across the whole universe.
That is amazing.
So how does this connect to life elsewhere?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
If this size-time relationship is universal, it means the universe has to be infinite.
Infinite.
And if it's infinite, there are infinite possibilities for how matter can be arranged.
So basically, out there somewhere, it's very likely that life happened just like it did here.
That's the idea.
Okay. I'm with you so far. Infinite universe, infinite possibilities, probably life somewhere.
Now here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, good.
The size-time diagram,
Uh-huh.
with its infinite range of sizes, it predicts something called a reproducing shape.
Okay, I think I see where you're going with this.
I know it.
Evolution, right?
You got it.
All right, tell me more.
A reproducing shape is any structure that can basically assemble stuff around it to make a copy of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the foundation of life and of evolution.
So we got this infinite universe. Right.
Probably life popping up somewhere.
Yeah.
And this reproducing shape, this thing that can, like, copy itself.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we get from there to all the amazing variety of life, like here and maybe on other planets?
Well, with the first reproducing shape, you have the 3 basic rules of evolution.
Oh, okay.
And these rules, they're universal.
Meaning?
They apply anywhere in the universe where life might exist.
So, like, universal rules of life.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are they?
The first rule is life and death.
Okay.
Not every reproducing shape is going to make it.
Right.
Some will be better suited to their environment, and those are the ones that survive and pass on their traits.
Survival of the fittest. Makes sense.
Right. The second rule is all about how many offspring a shape can create.
The more the better, I'm guessing.
Exactly. More offspring means a better chance that some will survive to pass on their genes.
So it's not just about surviving, but about making sure your line continues.
Precise.
What's the third rule?
Mutation.
Mutation. Okay. Every generation, little changes happen. And sometimes those changes are beneficial, giving the offspring an advantage.
It's amazing to think that these 3 simple rules from one little reproducing shape could lead to all the incredible life we see on Earth.
It is pretty amazing.
And who knows, maybe the same thing is happening on other planets.
Yeah, with life forms we can't even imagine.
It's blowing my mind.
And it's not just about the life forms themselves. This size-time diagram and these rules, they could also apply to the development of intelligence.
Intelligence, okay.
And maybe even consciousness across the universe.
Now you're talking.
Speaking of consciousness, our listener sources also get into this crazy idea of understanding an alien mind.
Oh, yeah. How do we even begin to wrap our heads around that?
Well, believe it or not, philosophy might give us some clues.
Philosophy, really?
Yeah, by exploring some basic philosophical ideas, we might be able to get some insights into how an alien might think.
Okay, now we're going down the rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole we go.
I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's dive into the philosophy of alien minds. So, to understand an alien mind, we got to start with what we know.
With what we know, okay.
Like, what are we absolutely certain of?
Right.
And that's where philosophy comes in.
I mean, I love a good philosophy deep dive, but how does that help us with something as, concrete as an alien mind?
Well, philosophy helps us figure out the basic building blocks of thought.
Okay.
Think about Descartes.
Descartes.
I think, therefore I am.
Right, right.
Even if everything else is an illusion, the fact that we're thinking means we exist.
It's a pretty solid starting point, right?
It is.
Like, you can doubt everything else, but you can't doubt that you're doubting.
Exactly.
But how does this get us to aliens?
Well, what Descartes is saying is that thinking means there's a thinker and a thought.
Okay.
There's a separation there,
Okay.
a distinction.
The thinker is distinct from the thought.
Right.
Okay, I get that.
Right.
But still not seeing the alien connection. So, alongside distinction, there's also this idea of anti-distinction.
Anti-distinction. Okay.
It's like the flip side.
Uh-huh.
It's represented by this concept of reality, like with a capital R.
Right.
It's the big, all-encompassing oneness that holds all the distinctions.
So distinction is about separation, and anti-distinction is about the unity of everything.
Exactly, two sides of the same coin.
Okay, I'm with you.
But here's the thing.
What's the thing?
There's a tension.
Attention, okay.
It's called the distinction-anti-distinction opposition.
Catchy.
Basically, to observe something, to think about it, to categorize it, we have to make distinctions.
We separate it out.
Right, but by focusing on those separations, we kind of miss the big picture.
The unity.
Exactly.
It's like trying to understand the ocean by looking at a single drop of water.
That's a great analogy.
You miss the vastness, the interconnectedness.
Right, we get so caught up in separating and labeling things.
But we forget everything is connected.
Yeah.
Okay, but back to aliens. How does this whole philosophy thing help us understand their minds?
Here's the key.
Okay.
If an alien civilization, right,
Mm-hmm.
if they evolve to the point where they understand their universe scientifically,
Like we do.
yeah, they would probably come to a lot of the same conclusions we have.
Like what kind of conclusions?
Math, logic, the laws of physics,
Mm.
the relationship between energy, mass, space, and time.
I mean, those are universal truths, right?
Exactly, they're the same everywhere.
So any civilization that's advanced enough would figure those things out.
That's the idea.
Okay, so even if aliens have totally different senses
Mm-hmm.
and a different history and culture,
Mm-hmm. Even if they're, completely different biologically.
their understanding of the universe would shape their thinking.
Right.
Like our understanding shapes ours.
Their universal science would kind of mold their minds.
So their brains might be wired differently,
Totally.
but the logic behind their thinking could be similar to ours.
Precisely.
That's wild.
It is, right? It's like a cosmic kinship.
Yeah.
Like, even if they're light years away and look nothing like us,
Right.
we could be connected through our shared understanding of the universe.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
And it leads us to the big question.
The big question, lay it on me.
If this framework is truly universal,
Uh-huh.
could we mind read an extraterrestrial?
Mind read.
Yeah.
What would that even look like?
That's the question.
When we, understand their thoughts?
Their thoughts.
Their emotions?
Their motivations.
Yeah, all of that. It's a question that really pushes the limits of what we know about intelligence and consciousness.
And it opens up some incredible possibilities.
It does.
All right, let's pick up where we left off. We've been talking about this incredible size-time diagram and the idea that there are these universal rules of evolution. And now we're even talking about the possibility of sharing some sort of logic with aliens. But how do we go from shared logic to actually understanding what's going on in an alien's head?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. We might share a basic framework for understanding the universe, but we can't forget about the huge diversity of life even here on Earth.
Right, even though we share biology and evolved on the same planet, human cultures are so different.
Exactly. And now, try to imagine a civilization that evolved on a completely different planet, like different gravity, different atmosphere, different life forms. Their senses, their history, their whole society would be shaped by things we can't even imagine.
It'd be like trying to understand an ancient civilization here, but like a million times harder.
Let me give you an analogy. Think about language.
Okay?
We have thousands of languages on Earth, each with its own grammar and words, but they all do the same thing.
Communicate, right?
Exactly. They all have ways to express thoughts and ideas, even if the specific words are different.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
So maybe extraterrestrial civilizations have different ways of expressing their understanding of the universe.
Like different languages of thought.
Yeah, exactly. But the underlying logic, the basic concepts of distinction, anti-distinction, and the challenge of representing reality, those could be shared.
So it's like we need a universal translator, not just for their language, but for their way of thinking.
Exactly. And just trying to create that translator, trying to understand an alien mind, would force us to really look at our own assumptions about intelligence and consciousness and what it means to be human.
Yeah, it really makes you realize how much our perspective is limited by our experience here on Earth. So where do we go from here if we actually encountered aliens? How would we even start to communicate, to understand each other, knowing that we might have this shared logic but completely different experiences?
That's the question, isn't it? It's a question people have been thinking about for centuries,
Right.
and there's no easy answer, but maybe the key is to focus on those universal truths,
Those universal truths, okay.
like the shared language of math and logic.
So instead of trying to understand their emotions or culture right away,
Right.
we start with the basics, the stuff that governs the universe for both of us.
Yeah. Exactly. We could start with math concepts or laws of physics, maybe even share astronomical observations. It might be slow going. But with a careful exchange of scientific ideas, we could build a bridge.
A bridge of understanding. And who knows what we might find on the other side, what incredible new ideas. It's amazing.
It really shows how curious we are as humans.
Yeah.
And how much we want to understand our place in the universe.
And maybe connect with others who are doing the same.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a wild ride. This deep dive has taken us from the smallest particles to the biggest ideas, and it's left me thinking about the universe in a whole new way.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks for taking us on this journey. And to everyone listening, keep looking up at the stars, keep asking questions, keep exploring. Until next time.